At a bustling Union Square station, a young black medical student was rushing to a pivotal scholarship interview. Suddenly, an elderly white man in a wheelchair became trapped on the tracks as a train sped toward him. No one reacted. Without a moment's hesitation, the student leaped down and rescued him just in time. What he didn't know was that the man he saved was a retired military doctor, and that single act of bravery would open a door that changed his life forever. Before we jump in, tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing your thoughts. Union Square Station throbbed with activity but felt soulless. It was just past 8 a.m., the kind of crisp autumn morning where the air clung damp and sharp, a prelude to winter. Fluorescent lights hummed, casting weak yellow glow on fractured white tiles. Footsteps echoed on concrete. Robotic announcements blared unheard. The air hung heavy with the scent of hot pretzels, old rain, and a faint metallic tang. The platform was packed yet strangely hushed, like a waiting room where eyes avoided contact. Dozens of commuters lined the edge, sharp-suited professionals, delivery workers in bright vests, teens lost in oversized headphones, tourists clutching maps like lifelines. Everyone was engrossed in their own bubble. Earbuds in, heads down, phones glowing like beacons in a concrete ocean. Among them stood Marcus Avery, 25, black, about 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders and calm, observant eyes. He wore a navy pea coat, its cuffs showing wear, dark jeans and city-grimed white sneakers. His close-cropped hair was neatly faded at the sides, his jaw square with a barely visible scar near his left cheek. Tucked subtly from his backpack side pocket, a stethoscope peeked out. Marcus had been awake since 5, straight off an overnight ER shift at Bronx General. No sleep, just lukewarm coffee and a granola bar gulped on the downtown train. His destination, Midtown, for a scholarship interview. The New York Health Leadership Fellowship, one of the rare programs that saw beyond grades and prestigious names. It was a long shot, but it mattered. He stood near the platform's edge, one hand gripping his backpack strap, the other in his coat pocket, rubbing the corner of an old church bulletin his mother had slipped in the day before. "Keep your head down and your heart open," she told him, her quiet prayer. Across the tracks on the opposite platform, a movement shattered the morning's dull rhythm. An elderly white man in a motorized wheelchair was inching forward, trying to get closer to the edge. He looked to be in his 80s, frail, with wisps of silver hair, a beige trench coat folded neatly on his lap. The wheels turned, then snagged. The front left wheel dipped, just enough to wedge itself between the concrete platform and the steel rail. There was no dramatic scream, just a small metallic crunch. Marcus instantly narrowed his eyes, stepping forward. The man rocked his chair backward. It wouldn't budge. His hands trembled, shoulders hunched. One passerby glanced, then returned to his phone. Another woman in workout clothes gently pulled her daughter away as if to avoid involvement. Marcus's chest tightened. "Come on," he muttered under his breath. He scanned the crowd, still no help. A man in a gray coat 10 feet from the wheelchair sipped coffee, saw it, did nothing. A teenager pulled out his phone, started recording. No one moved. Then came the sound. A low rumble, distant but unmistakable. The train was coming. Marcus's pulse surged. He stepped forward again, then hesitated. His mind raced. The access ladder? Where was it? Could he reach the man in time? Across the track, the old man looked up, realization dawning. His hands clutched the armrests, mouth slightly open, but no words came out. His legs were still. Marcus knew, spinal injury perhaps. He wouldn't get out of that chair alone. And still no one moved. Someone near Marcus whispered, "Is this real?" Another person pulled out their phone. The rumble intensified, the vibration traveling through Marcus's soles. He felt it. That's when it happened. He dropped his backpack. The stethoscope clattered softly on the concrete. And Marcus ran. Not the kind of run to catch a train, but the instinctual kind where every muscle tightens, where the brain ceases debate and the body simply acts. He sprinted down the platform, dodging stiff, frozen strangers still undecided between helping and filming. His coat flew off mid-stride, abandoned like unwanted weight. His eyes locked on a narrow access ladder halfway down the platform, a rusted thing with chipped yellow paint and a forgotten danger sign. He reached it, no hesitation. One boot hit the top rung, the other followed, then gravity pulled him down. The ladder shook under his weight, metal grinding against metal. Halfway down, his boot slipped for a breathless second. He caught himself, no time to think. His shoes slammed onto the gravel-covered track bed. It reeked of oil, steel, and a decade of grime. The walls felt closer down there, the tunnel darker, heavier. He turned toward the wheelchair and froze. The old man, head shaking, lips trembling, was now angled downward, front wheels completely off the edge. His hands clawed at the rear wheel rims, desperately trying to get traction to back up, but he wasn't moving. The fear in his eyes had turned to terror. Marcus heard the rumble, deep, violent, closer. He didn't even look toward the tunnel. He could feel it now, like his leg bones were humming with it. He crossed the tracks in long strides, gravel crunching underfoot. His breath was short, shallow. He crouched at the front of the wheelchair, grabbed the cold steel frame, no leverage. He yanked. Nothing. The front wheels were wedged between the track and the platform lip, as if designed to get stuck. He shifted his stance, planted both feet wide, and pulled harder, fingers straining, arms burning. Still no movement. Behind him, up on the platform, someone screamed, "He's not going to make it." Marcus gritted his teeth and yelled, "I need help down here." Silence. The train's headlights broke the tunnel bend, two white circles flickering through the dust, approaching fast. Then footsteps. A thud. Someone was coming down the ladder. A woman's voice, sharp, commanding, "Don't let go. I'm here." She dropped beside him, barefoot, her blazer still on, sweat already beading on her brow. No introductions, no questions. She crouched beside the old man, wrapped both arms around his chest, anchoring him. Marcus shifted to the side of the chair. "On my count," he barked. 1, 2, lift. They pulled together. The chair groaned, metal scraped concrete. One wheel popped loose, then the other, but they weren't safe yet. The platform was only a few feet away, but the tracks were uneven and the train was seconds out. Marcus grabbed the back handles and pushed with everything he had. His legs slipped in the gravel, his palms tore on the rusted frame, but the chair inched forward. "Come on," the woman shouted, half lifting the front. They reached the edge. Marcus dug in, bent low, and heaved the chair upward. It didn't make it. He lost grip on one side, the chair tilted back. The woman screamed. The old man's arm flailed. The train horn blared, deafening, final. Marcus snarled and lunged forward, grabbing the front wheel with both hands. His shoulders screamed in pain. He twisted, threw his weight back, and yanked the chair onto the platform just as the front of the train exploded out of the tunnel, lights blazing like fire. The wheels cleared the edge. Marcus threw himself sideways into the wall of the platform pit as the train roared past, the wind hitting him like a physical blow. It was so close he felt heat on his skin. He stayed crouched for a second, chest rising in ragged gulps, ears ringing from the horn, the roar, and the pounding of blood in his skull. He was alive barely. He looked up. The woman was on the platform, pulling the chair fully back with one final grunt. The old man was gasping, hands trembling on the armrests, eyes staring straight ahead in pure shock. Marcus stumbled to his feet and reached up. She extended her hand, her grip strong, urgent. He helped haul him up. For a second no one spoke. Then, scattered, awkward clapping as if the crowd had just remembered their humanity. Phones were still recording. A teenage girl whispered, "Did you see that? He really did that." Marcus didn't answer anyone. He didn't speak to the crowd or acknowledge the camera lenses now aimed his way. He turned to the old man, crouched slightly, looked him in the eye and asked, "Are you hurt?" The man's voice was barely there. "No. I think I'm okay." Marcus nodded, his face blank, his body still buzzing with adrenaline. He walked past the crowd, past the station's peeling pillars, past the people parting for him as if he carried a burning ember. No one tried to stop him. His coat lay where he'd left it. He picked it up without a word, slipping his arm back through the sleeve. His shirt underneath was soaked through, his knuckles red, his knees ached, his chest felt heavy. He glanced at the station clock. The interview was in less than 10 minutes. No chance of making it. But as he climbed the stairs 2 steps at a time, he felt no regret. The train had passed, the man was alive, and Marcus, he hadn't waited for someone else to do the right thing. He hadn't waited at all. Marcus didn't check his phone until hours later. After leaving the station, he'd wandered through the city in a haze, too wired to rest, too drained for anything useful. He'd missed the interview, of course. No explanation could fix that, and truthfully he hadn't even tried to call. His mind had been elsewhere, replaying the moment. The grip of the wheelchair handles, the sound of the approaching train, the woman's shout to lift, the burning in his legs as he shoved the man to safety. Every time he closed his eyes he could still hear the horn. When he finally sank onto a park bench near Madison Square Park and opened his phone, the screen blazed like a flare. 42 missed calls, 17 text messages, and dozens of notifications from strangers. He blinked, opened one text. "Bro, you're on the news. Channel 7 just showed the video." Another said, "That was you? You're a hero, man, unreal." Marcus frowned, his fingers hesitating before tapping open a video link someone had sent. It was shaky, filmed from a phone above the tracks, capturing the entire sequence. The trapped old man, the approaching train, Marcus running full speed, leaping onto the track, lifting the chair, the woman helping, the last-second rescue, the platform erupting. No narration, no editing, just raw footage, grainy and frantic. The comments below exploded. "This man deserves a medal. That's the kind of courage you can't teach. Black excellence in action. Where was everyone else?" And then the hashtags. Hashtag Subway Hero, hashtag Real Courage, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Marcus Avery. Marcus leaned back, his heart suddenly thudding again, not from danger this time, but from something more disorienting. Exposure, attention. He hadn't given his name to anyone, not intentionally. But someone must have recognized him. A former classmate, a nurse from the year, maybe someone overheard when the woman asked if he was okay. It didn't matter now. The story had taken on a life of its own. He closed the app, locked the phone, and stared across the park lawn. He hadn't done it to go viral. He hadn't done it for praise. He did it because nobody else moved. He thought about his mom, how she'd react to seeing him all over the internet. She'd be proud, of course, but also worried. She always told him, "In this world, son, they'll cheer for you when you bleed, but they don't stay long after the applause." Later that evening, when he finally walked back to his Bronx apartment, the hallway felt eerily quiet. He hadn't turned on the TV in years, but as he passed his neighbor's door, Mrs. Delgado, second floor, he heard his name from inside. She opened the door just as he passed. "Marcus," she gasped. "Mijo, I saw you on Channel 2. You scared me, but you," she clutched her chest, "you saved that man. You were like an angel." He smiled awkwardly, mumbled, "Just did what anyone should do," and kept walking. That night he didn't sleep. The next morning his phone rang again. A number he didn't recognize, New York area code. He almost let it go to voicemail, but something nudged him. He answered. "Mr. Avery?" The voice was older, measured, precise. "This is Dr. Stephen Reich from the New York Health Leadership Fellowship Committee. We saw what happened yesterday." Marcus sat up straighter. "Sir, about the interview, no need," the man cut in. "We understand you missed it for a very good reason." There was a pause. "But I'd like to invite you to a meeting with our board later this week. You'll be speaking directly with our donors and trustees. We believe they'd appreciate meeting the kind of candidate we should all be supporting." Marcus blinked. "Yes, of course. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll send details by email," Dr. Reich said. "Also, I believe someone else will be joining us, the gentleman you assisted." That caught Marcus off guard. "The man from the subway?" "Yes," the voice replied. "Henry Callahan. He reached out to us personally. Said it was urgent that he be there." The call ended soon after. Marcus stared at the screen, replaying the name in his head. Henry Callahan. Why did that sound familiar? He didn't get an answer until 3 days later. The Midtown boardroom was unlike anything Marcus knew. Marble floors, soaring glass windows, a chandelier that looked pricier than his entire student loan debt. He wore the same suit he'd saved for during his second year of med school, slightly tight at the shoulders now but still clean and pressed. As he stepped inside, a handful of people turned. Older men in tailored suits, women with silver hair and polite smiles. And standing at the head of the table, dressed in a brown blazer and khaki slacks, was the man from the subway. No wheelchair, just a cane and a steady stance. "Mr. Avery," the man said, extending a hand. "It's good to see you again. I'm Dr. Henry Callahan." The name now clicked for Marcus, not just from the subway but from med school textbooks. A former military surgeon, renowned for battlefield trauma work, published dozens of papers, once ran the surgical unit at Walter Reed. Marcus shook his hand, more stunned than he let show. I believe you saved my life, Dr. Callahan said, his voice calm but weighted. And more than that, you reminded me why I joined this profession in the first place. Marcus didn't know how to respond, but he didn't need to. In the next moment, Dr. Callahan turned to the rest of the room and declared, I'd like to personally nominate Mr. Avery for the Courage and Service Grant, not just for what he did but for who he clearly is. The room fell quiet, and for the first time since that morning at the station, Marcus felt the tension ease. Not because of praise, not because of cameras, but because he realized something far more powerful was happening. He hadn't just saved a man, he'd reignited a legacy. The ceremony wasn't what Marcus expected. No red carpets, no loud music, no flashing lights. It was held in a modest auditorium at the New York Medical Collegiate Center, with perhaps 50 people. Professors, fellows, healthcare advocates, a few media cameras in the back. The lights were soft, the walls paneled with wood, and a single podium stood center stage. Marcus sat in the second row, simply dressed in a charcoal gray suit and a white shirt, no tie. He hadn't spoken much on the ride over, and even now, as polite small talk buzzed around him, he remained quiet. He didn't feel like he belonged here. At his side sat Dr. Henry Callahan, dignified in posture but relaxed in demeanor, his cane resting against his knee. Every so often he'd lean toward Marcus and whisper something funny, usually about how half the room looked like they'd stepped out of a pharmaceutical ad. Marcus smiled politely, but his hands stayed clasped in his lap, fingers intertwined too tightly. A woman stepped up to the microphone. The room quieted. Today, she began, we present the Heart of Service Award, a distinction reserved not for those who seek recognition, but for those who act with courage and compassion when it matters most. Our recipient didn't apply for this award. He didn't ask to be noticed. He didn't even tell anyone what he did. But the world noticed. She turned slightly. Marcus Avery, would you join us on stage? Marcus rose slowly. The applause started low and polite, then grew. He walked to the podium, shoulders straight but stomach tight, the sound of clapping both energizing and uncomfortable. He took the stage, accepted the plaque with both hands, and stood behind the microphone. It was quiet again. He cleared his throat. I didn't prepare a speech, he said, his voice steady but quiet. Mostly because I wasn't sure I should be standing up here at all. Some in the room chuckled gently. Marcus continued, I've always believed that doing the right thing isn't supposed to come with applause. Supposed to come naturally. That morning at Union Square I didn't think. I saw someone in danger and I moved. He paused, looked down at the plaque, then back up. But I've also thought a lot about what didn't happen that day, he said. A dozen people closer than I was. None of them moved. Most had phones out. Some were afraid. Some just froze. I don't blame them. I wonder what makes someone step forward when no one else does. He let the question hang for a moment. My mother raised me to believe that we're responsible for each other. That if we see someone hurting, struggling, or alone, we don't look away. That's not heroism. That's humanity. A quiet murmur of agreement ran through the room. Marcus glanced toward Dr. Callahan. And I also want to say this. When you save someone's life, you don't expect to see them again. You don't expect them to stand beside you, to fight for you, to lift you up. Dr. Callahan didn't just thank me. He opened a door I didn't know existed. He reminded me that even in a system as big and flawed as ours, there are people who believe in lifting others. Not because it benefits them but because it's the right thing to do. Dr. Callahan sat motionless, his face unreadable but his eyes wet. Marcus ended simply, I'm grateful. And I promise to carry this forward, not by talking about it, but by doing what I've always tried to do, show up when it counts. He stepped down. The applause came again, louder this time. Cameras clicked, but Marcus didn't smile for the camera. He didn't raise the plaque. He just returned to his seat and let the moment pass through him like wind, fleeting, intangible but real. Later, as the room emptied and people offered handshakes and congratulations, a young woman approached him. She looked to be in her early 20s, dressed in scrubs with a hospital badge clipped to her waist. I just wanted to say, she said, her voice shaky, my brother's in a wheelchair and when I saw the video it really hit me. You didn't just save one man. You gave people like him a little more dignity. Like maybe someone will show up when it matters. Marcus didn't know what to say. He just nodded and for the first time that day smiled without force. That evening, back in the Bronx, Marcus visited his mother's apartment. It was small but always smelled like cinnamon and lemon, her two favorite cleaning products. She opened the door before he even knocked. "I saw the live stream," she said, pulling him into a hug. "And don't think I didn't notice your hair needed a trim." Marcus laughed, tension releasing from his shoulders. He handed her the plaque. "This belongs here more than in my room." She held it gently, her thumb brushing the engraved letters. "It's not the plaque I'm proud of," she said. "It's that you knew what mattered. That's your real reward." They ate dinner at the tiny kitchen table, rice and beans, baked chicken, steamed greens. She talked about neighbors and church gossip. He listened, grateful for the normalcy. As he prepared to leave, she stopped him at the door. "You're not just good at saving lives," she said softly. "You remind people what it means to care." That night, Marcus sat at his desk, reviewing anatomy notes, patient case studies, and the scholarship documents now emailed to him. Everything felt the same and yet not. The city hadn't changed. The subway kept moving. People kept scrolling. But for once, just once, the spotlight had found someone not trying to stand in it. And that made all the difference. Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.